Hey YouTube, Mr. Slush here. Just wanted to give you a quick look at how I fertilize my 2 acres here in Tucson, Arizona, zone 9A. I am completely organic. I buy zero fertilizer, and very few, if any, of anything I grow is in need of any nutrients. If anything, every once in a blue moon I may have to add a little bit of chelated iron, but outside of that, everything that I produce here is sufficient for my gardens. The only thing I'm not going to be showing you here is aged chicken manure that I will also typically use. But this area right here, which is more or less in the back part of my lot, away from all prying eyes, as you can see, the majority of my food forest is up yonder, and so we're away in the back part of my lot here. My goats own that back 1/4 acre there, with the permaculture swales and so forth. But this is where I do all my fertilizing. So this trash container here is where I do all my composting. As you can see here, I've got some oats, the brown straw looking stuff, and then I just layer all my kitchen scraps, and I have my neighbors give me their kitchen scraps, and I just layer it inside of this trash container here. I don't know if you can see, but I've drilled holes along it and on the bottom to where all the little life forms, worms and earwigs and all that good stuff can come in and break it down for me. So I have a 0-turn compost, and this system works great. I just do it for 1 season, and then spring next year I'll just take it out and use it on the garden. So here I've got several little 30-gallon trash cans, plastic trash cans, and what I do is I fill these up with water just out of my tap, and I allow the chlorine and all that stuff to dissipate, so that it is pure unchlorinated water. And I've got 3 of these, and what I do, my primary source of liquid fertilizer is in this guy right here, and this is what the North Koreans call Jadam, Jadam, and it is unchlorinated. I use filtered water when I refill it. I've got a little RV water filter I put on the end of my hose, and I throw all my kitchen scraps in here as well. And this is all full of liquid, so when I want to fertilize something, I put in like a little coffee can. I don't know, can you see all those bubbles? It's just full of life. Every type of nutrient needed is available in here, and so I just go into a corner. I might be able to show you here. Let me see if I can find my coffee can. There it is. Oop, sorry for the quick movements here, but I just take my coffee can, I go into a corner of it, I try not to get any of the food scraps itself. I just allow the liquid to pour in. If I get a little bit of scraps in there, I've got a little fish net and I can net it out. And then what I do is I just take it over to one of these containers, and I just pour it in, and so it dilutes it. And so I just use typically 1 coffee mug per thing, and then I can just dip my watering can in here and I can water all my potted plants. It's right next to my nursery, so it's very convenient to fertilize those plants. You know, and the ratios really aren't too critical. I use it straight sometimes. If something looks like it's in need of immediate fertilizer, I'll just run it straight, and I'll do a root drench around whatever tree or whatever it is. I typically don't do that with potted plants, but if there's something in the ground that is in need, I will sometimes just run 100% Jadam, or it's David the Good calls it fetid swamp water, and I'll just run that straight around whatever it is. This particular mixture here is probably going on about 3 years continuous run, maybe 4 years at this point, and it is just very sweet smelling. It's fermented. It's got a very nice smell to it. When you first initially get one of these going, it will stink for 2 or 3 months until it starts to ferment. But from then onwards, you don't have to worry about any smell. It actually smells somewhat sweet. And I also do biochar. So I've got 2 metal 55-gallon containers, and I'll do a biochar run first thing in the spring and make about 200 to 300 gallons worth of biochar, and then I'll mix that in with my compost and chicken manure, and sometimes I'll get coffee grounds from Starbucks, and I'll just make a nice little mixture, and I'll throw that around all my trees. Here's an empty. This used to be biochar. It's empty. I've got biochar inside of this container here with just breaking down food scraps on top of the biochar. So I will typically make biochar in water. I can make some in water with various nutrients, or I'll just throw food scraps on top of them, and that actually activates the charcoal itself, which turns it into biochar. So you want to make sure it's fully activated. I will usually go through and this is water with charcoal. Most of the charcoal's gone at this point. But I will go through between like 2 months to a year. Like this stuff here has probably been going for about a year now. I just make sure it's fully activated. I don't rush the process, and I've got so much that I don't need to rush it. This has got chicken manure in it with some mesquite bean pods and just a different method. But this one's the one I've been pulling from, so it's about half full now. So this is my fertilization center here, and so I've got liquid compost, I've got regular compost, I've got biochar, and I've got chicken manure that I collect over near my chicken run that I just allow it to age in 5-gallon buckets. And so this is my primary means. So I'll come in with 5-gallon buckets with the liquid and run those to every single tree. I've probably got around 100 in-ground fruit trees in the yard. It doesn't look like it. They're all spaced out, but it's a lot of area to cover. Most of them are up there. So it takes me a good 2 days to fertilize. So that's it, and it's free. It's completely free to do this. You don't have to pay any money, and it's good stuff. You know what's going into it, and you're just encouraging life within your soil. That's what it's all about. You're feeding the microbes within the soil, which in turn are feeding your trees. So if you can encourage life forms within your soil, the bacteria, the fungus, the worms, all the insects, all that good stuff, they all work together to actually fertilize your trees and your plants. So this is what I do, and if you have any questions about anything I do here, feel free to comment, and I hope you have a great day, and God bless you. Take care.